won the National Board of Review, and this is all happening so fast. And I told Clint, I said, I've been in this business 50 years, but I finally feel like I hit the big time.
In the world of cinema, where the spotlight usually shines only on faces that fit the standard mold of beauty, Kathy Bates emerged as a rare exception. A testament that talent and resilience can overcome every prejudice. She may not possess a glamorous appearance, but she carved her name deep into the memory of audiences with haunting roles. From the deranged Annie Wilkes in Misery, a performance that earned her the Oscar statuette, to the proud Molly Brown in Titanic, or the brutal and bizarre figures she embodied in American Horror Story. Yet behind a collection of prestigious awards, Oscar, Golden Globe, Emmy, and the respect of her peers, lay a thorny path. Kathy endured ridicule for an appearance deemed unfit for Hollywood, a broken marriage, the sorrow of not having children, and, most painfully, 2 life-threatening battles with cancer, along with the lingering effects of lymphedema. Each time she seemed on the verge of collapse, she found the strength to rise again, turning adversity into power to move forward. At 76, while many of her contemporaries have long stepped away from the screen, Kathy Bates continues to dedicate herself tirelessly, standing as a survivor warrior of Hollywood. Her story is not just a journey of becoming a star, but a reminder of inner strength, that true beauty lies in resilience, in the courage to live and to fight for oneself. Kathy Bates, born Kathleen Doyle Bates, came into the world on June 28, 1948, in Memphis, Tennessee. She was the youngest of 3 daughters in a middle-class Southern family. Her father, Langdon Doyle Bates, worked as a mechanical engineer, but in his rare free evenings he was deeply passionate about playing jazz. Her mother, Bertie Kathleen, was a devoted homemaker, quietly keeping their small household warm and stable. Kathy's childhood was not marked by poverty, yet it was far from carefree. From an early age, she became acutely aware of her differences. A round figure, an ordinary face, and none of the beauty standards society praised. While her peers were often complimented for being cute or pretty, Kathy endured teasing and mockery. That sense of inadequacy made her withdraw inward, seeking solace in books, music, and school plays, spaces where she could escape judgmental eyes and transform into someone else. Tragedy struck when Kathy turned 19. Her father passed away after a long illness. The man who had first sparked her love of the arts was suddenly gone, leaving behind a void that seemed impossible to fill. Yet instead of collapsing, Kathy clung to his memory through music and theater. The plays she performed and the jazz melodies her father once played became an invisible thread binding her to her family's past. From then on, art was no longer a mere hobby. It became a way to endure pain and to rediscover herself. During her years at White Station High School, Kathy quickly stood out in drama activities. Teachers noticed an unusual seriousness in her, eyes that could tell stories, a voice that carried emotion, and an inner strength that seemed to urge her onto the stage. This gift led Kathy to decide on a future in the arts when she entered college. She enrolled at Southern Methodist University, SMU, in Dallas, Texas, majoring in theater while joining the Alpha Delta Pi sorority. At SMU, Kathy not only learned the mechanics of performance, but also trained to probe the psychology of her characters, searching for the truth hidden within every role. Those years shaped her realization. Even if she didn't fit Hollywood's conventional standards of beauty, talent and resilience could still carry her far. In 1969, Kathy Bates graduated. Standing at a crossroads, she chose not the safe path, but the more demanding one, New York, the heart of Broadway. Leaving behind the familiar South, Kathy carried with her only a passion for the stage and the memory of her late father. It was the beginning of a long and challenging journey, where she would slowly turn childhood pain and self-doubt into strength to conquer the world of art. When Kathy Bates arrived in New York in the late 1960s, she knew she was stepping into an entirely different world, harsh, crowded, and overflowing with competing dreams. The city was a promised land for young artists, but also a graveyard for countless broken hopes. Kathy had little more than a theater degree, a small suitcase, and a stubborn determination bordering on defiance. She understood that in order to succeed, she first had to learn how to survive in this city that never sleeps. To make ends meet, Kathy took on any job she could find, waiting tables in noisy restaurants, singing at resorts for tips, or spending long hours behind the cashier's desk at museums. Every coin she earned was carefully budgeted to cover rent for her cramped room and just enough food to get by. Yet through all of those hard days, Kathy never allowed herself to abandon her dream. By day, she labored to survive. By night, she rushed to auditions, ready to accept even the smallest roles, ones so minor her name wouldn't appear in the program. To her, simply standing on stage, even for a fleeting moment, was already a step forward. Her first professional role came when she was cast in Lemon Sky alongside Christopher Walken at Buffalo Studio Arena. It was a precious opportunity, proof that she was every bit as capable as anyone else. But when the play transferred to off-Broadway, Kathy was cut from the cast. The blow hit hard, leaving her devastated and adrift. Still, Kathy knew one unshakable truth. In this city, no one waits for you. The only path forward was to keep moving. Throughout the 1970s, Kathy steadily built her reputation in New York theater. She appeared in productions such as Casserole, The Quality of Mercy, and Vanities. Though not yet a star, she began to draw the attention of critics, who recognized a rare power in her performances, a complete immersion in character that made audiences forget her looks or body shape and see only the living presence of the role itself. The door to film cracked open in 1971 when Kathy was cast in Taking Off. It was just a tiny role, made more bitter by the fact that her name was mistakenly credited as Bobo Bates on screen. For many, it might have been humiliating, but for Kathy, it was still a milestone. She had stepped onto the cinematic stage, however faintly, and that alone was a beginning. By the 1980s, Kathy advanced further on Broadway. Though Goodbye Fidel flopped after just 6 performances, she pressed on, taking over a role in 5th of July, 1981, then shining in Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean, a play so successful it was adapted into a film in 1982, marking Kathy's first moment of true recognition among film audiences. Her stage career peaked with Night Mother, 1983, which earned her a Tony Award nomination and established her as more than a supporting player. In 1988, she created another sensation with Frankie and Johnny in The Clair de Lune, a production that ran for 533 performances, proving her enduring appeal with New York theatergoers. Yet a bitter paradox clung to Kathy. While she shone brilliantly on stage, Hollywood kept turning its back. Roles she had embodied to acclaim on Broadway were given to conventionally beautiful actresses once adapted for film. Again and again, Kathy was pushed aside because of her appearance, a painful reminder that talent alone was not always enough. Even so, Kathy Bates never considered giving up. She clung to her craft, relentless in her pursuit of opportunity, sustained by the belief that one day a role would come, powerful enough to break every barrier and force Hollywood to finally acknowledge her. In 1990, after more than 2 decades of persistence on stage and in minor roles, Kathy Bates finally reached her defining moment. Director Rob Reiner offered her the role of Annie Wilkes in Misery, the film adaptation of Stephen King's famous horror novel. Annie is a lonely nurse living in isolation, but also an obsessive fan of writer Paul Sheldon, James Caan. When she discovers that her idol has been in an accident, she does not rescue him to return him to the outside world. Instead, she kidnaps, imprisons, and brutally tortures him, forcing him to continue his story according to her wishes. The role of Annie Wilkes required a delicate balance between outward gentleness and explosive madness within. Kathy embodied the part so completely that audiences shuddered, yet also sensed the deep psychological wounds hidden beneath the character. Annie's obsession, twisted love, and suffocating loneliness came to life with a rawness that made her both terrifying and pitiful. This performance transformed Kathy Bates from a familiar figure in the theater world into a global phenomenon. Misery was not only a commercial triumph, but also brought Kathy undeniable critical acclaim. She won the 1991 Academy Award for Best Actress, becoming one of the few women in Hollywood to defy conventional beauty standards and still ascend to the highest honor. That same year, she also won the Golden Globe, officially entering the ranks of Hollywood's A-list, a prospect that had seemed distant throughout the 1970s and 1980s. Riding the momentum of Misery, Kathy appeared in Fried Green Tomatoes, 1991. In the film, she played Evelyn Couch, a middle-aged woman struggling to rediscover herself amid a stale marriage. Unlike Annie Wilkes, Evelyn was gentle and ordinary, yet Kathy still moved audiences with her nuanced transformation, from a repressed, insecure woman into someone free and empowered. The role earned her another Golden Globe nomination, proving she was not defined by one legendary performance, but was instead a versatile actress capable of remarkable range. In 1995, Kathy returned once more to Stephen King's world with Dolores Claiborne. She portrayed Dolores, a woman suspected of killing her husband while grappling with dark family memories and psychological trauma spanning generations. This was a role steeped in emotional depth, absent of jump-scare horror, but saturated with soul erosion and painful secrets slowly revealed. Kathy delivered Dolores with raw authenticity, turning the film into one of the clearest examples of her ability to embody complex, tormented characters. Through 3 consecutive films, Misery, Fried Green Tomatoes, and Dolores Claiborne, Kathy Bates not only cemented her place in Hollywood, but also redefined the image of a successful actress, one who needed neither conventional beauty nor a perfect figure, only the power of performance. After her brilliant early 1990s run, Kathy Bates continued to prove that she was no one-hit wonder, but an actress capable of thriving in both blockbusters and weighty dramas. In 1997, she joined James Cameron's Titanic, the film that would become a cinematic legend and a global box office record breaker. Kathy played Molly Brown, a real-life figure famously known as the unsinkable Molly Brown for her courage during the Titanic disaster of 1912. On screen, Kathy brought Molly to life with wit, strength, and humanity, offering a spark of warmth and resilience amid the tragedy of the film. Though not a leading role, Molly Brown quickly became a fan favorite. So much so that, for many, the historical Molly Brown became inseparable from Kathy Bates's portrayal. Shortly after, in 1998, Kathy played Libby Holden in Primary Colors, a political satire based on Joe Klein's novel of the same name. Libby was a sharp, blunt political consultant, at times harsh, but defined by her fierce loyalty to the candidate she served. Kathy made Libby unforgettable, both admirable and deeply tragic. The role not only earned her critical praise, but also an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, proving that even after her Oscar win in 1991, she still commanded formidable weight on Hollywood's most prestigious stage. By 2002, Kathy Bates once again made waves with About Schmidt, the critically acclaimed drama in which she starred alongside Jack Nicholson. She played Roberta Herzl, a free-spirited, eccentric, and vibrant woman, completely opposite from the dark and tormented characters she had portrayed before. The most shocking highlight was Kathy's nude scene in a hot tub, a moment that stunned audiences with its boldness and fearlessness from an actress who never conformed to Hollywood's beauty ideals. But Kathy proved that age and appearance were never barriers to truthfully embodying a character. With About Schmidt, she earned her second Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, cementing her status as an A-list actress who could make any film shine. After her heavy psychological dramas, Kathy surprised audiences by bringing laughter to the screen in comedies, showing she refused to be confined to a single mold. In 1998, Kathy appeared in The Waterboy, a sports comedy starring Adam Sandler. She played Bobby Boucher's mother, a woman who was both domineering and extremely protective of her son. Kathy portrayed the role with a blend of sternness and fierce love, a mother who could forbid and scold, yet was deeply afraid of losing her only child. The performance delivered both laughs and poignant emotion, leaving audiences touched by its message of maternal devotion. The film became an unexpected box office sensation, grossing over $185 million worldwide, and Kathy was remembered as a screen mother, both fierce and endearing, adding another iconic role to her career. In 2002, she appeared in Love, Liza alongside Philip Seymour Hoffman, a heavy psychological drama about grief and emotional collapse after the death of a wife. Kathy played Hoffman's mother-in-law, a character with little screen time but significant weight. In just a few scenes, she conveyed the turmoil of a woman torn between her own grief and her helplessness as she watched her son-in-law self-destruct. Through subtlety, Kathy proved once again her rare gift. Even in brief appearances, her characters resonated deeply and enriched the story's tragedy. 4 years later, in 2006, Kathy joined the romantic comedy Failure to Launch, starring Matthew McConaughey and Sarah Jessica Parker. Once again playing the protagonist's mother, she showcased her natural comedic flair. With sharpness and personality, Kathy created a mother who was both lovable and hilariously exasperating. Though the film was panned by critics, it was a commercial success, earning over $130 million worldwide and reinforcing Kathy's enduring popularity with mainstream audiences. In 2009, she appeared in The Blind Side, the inspiring true story of football player Michael O'Hare. Kathy played Miss Sue, Michael's tutor, a simple, warm, and patient woman. While not the central role, Miss Sue was crucial, serving as both a mentor and a source of support as Michael overcame his insecurities to change his life. The small role was embraced by audiences and contributed to the film's massive success. The Blind Side became a global hit, earning Sandra Bullock her Oscar, while Kathy once again showed her ability to elevate even the most modest part into something unforgettable. Alongside her film work, Kathy Bates left a strong mark on television. From 2001 to 2005, she appeared in 6 Feet Under, widely regarded as one of the masterpieces of American television. She played Bettina, an independent, tough, and at times abrasive woman who served as both partner and mentor to one of the main characters. Beyond acting, Kathy also directed several episodes, demonstrating her creative vision and versatility. This period marked an important evolution, proving her talent not only as an actress, but also as a respected television director. In 2010 to 2011, Kathy surprised viewers again with her appearance in the hit sitcom The Office. She played Jo Bennett, the sharp, powerful, and straightforward CEO of Sabre, who had acquired Dunder Mifflin. Jo was commanding yet laced with humor and charm. Kathy injected fresh energy into the beloved series, and Jo Bennett quickly became one of the most memorable guest characters. Her presence not only revitalized the show, but also highlighted her adaptability, seamlessly fitting into any genre, from intense drama to lighthearted comedy. After her witty supporting roles on television, Kathy Bates entered a new chapter of her career with American Horror Story, 2013-2018. If audiences once knew her for grounded, everyday characters, mothers, wives, ordinary women, this hit horror anthology gave Kathy the chance to unleash her full range of daring transformations. In Coven, 2013, she shocked critics and viewers alike as Delphine LaLaurie. a real historical figure from 19th century New Orleans, infamous for her cruelty toward enslaved people. On screen, Kathy transformed LaLaurie into the embodiment of evil, but also captured her contradictions, both terrifying and grotesque, both monstrous and pitiable. This complexity captivated audiences, and the role earned her the 2014 Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress, her first win after several nominations, solidifying her as a television legend. In subsequent seasons, Kathy continued to reinvent herself. In Freak Show 2014, she became Ethel Darling, a circus performer with a hardened exterior hiding tenderness and tragedy. In Hotel 2015, she played Iris, a bizarre hotel manager, both darkly comic and haunting. In Roanoke 2016, she embodied Agnes Mary Winstead, a role so eerie it blurred the line between reality and delusion. Each character was entirely distinct, proving that Kathy never repeated herself, always seeking to surprise her audience. American Horror Story not only brought her more accolades, but also introduced Kathy Bates to younger generations, viewers who had only known her from Misery or Titanic. On television, well into her 60s, she could still terrify, move to tears, or make audiences laugh with characters so vividly alive. The series became a milestone that marked her rebirth, transforming her from a veteran film star into nothing less than a queen of television. Across a career spanning more than half a century, Kathy Bates has built an extraordinary collection of awards. 1 Academy Award, 2 Emmys from 14 nominations, along with multiple nominations and wins at the Golden Globes, BAFTA, Screen Actors Guild Awards, and countless others. These numbers not only reflect the recognition of her peers, but also attest to the extraordinary resilience of an actress who has never allowed appearance, age, or hardship to limit her greatness. Although Misery gave Kathy Bates the greatest turning point of her career, the film also carried personal memories, some of them tinged with disappointment. One such detail was the infamous hobbling scene. In Stephen King's novel, Annie Wilkes actually amputates Paul Sheldon's foot to prevent him from escaping, but in the film, director Rob Reiner chose to alter it so that Annie breaks his ankles with a sledgehammer instead. Kathy later admitted that she was somewhat let down by the change, believing the amputation version better reflected Annie's sheer brutality, coldness, and complete descent into madness. Still, she eventually acknowledged that the director's choice had produced one of the most chilling scenes in cinematic history. It wasn't just the script that presented challenges. From the very beginning of filming, Kathy and her co-star James Caan did not exactly mesh. Caan was the type of actor who disliked rehearsals and preferred to improvise on set, whereas Kathy was methodical, meticulously analyzing her character's psychology and preparing every detail before filming. This clash of styles initially frustrated her, and she often grew irritated when Caan failed to keep pace with her approach. However, under Rob Reiner's direction and thanks to their shared professionalism, the gap gradually closed. They eventually found common ground, especially in the most demanding sequences, most notably the harrowing scene where Annie acts on Paul Sheldon. The result was undeniable: electrifying chemistry on screen. Over time, their working relationship blossomed into genuine friendship. In 2015, at the 25th anniversary reunion of Misery, James Caan kissed Kathy's hand, and the two fondly recalled their legendary fight scene with the same excitement as if it had been filmed just yesterday. It was a moment that not only revived memories of a classic film, but also celebrated a friendship forged in difficult beginnings. When James Caan passed away in 2022 at the age of 82, Kathy Bates was deeply heartbroken. She wrote on Twitter, "Heartbroken, shocked, no words, thank you, Jimmy, love you, your cat." The brief words spoke volumes, carrying the weight of a friendship that had spanned 3 decades. Kathy also nurtured other close bonds in her career. After About Schmidt, 2002, She often spoke of Jack Nicholson with profound respect, describing him as one of the most generous and remarkable co-stars she had ever worked with. On the set of Titanic, Kathy grew close to Leonardo DiCaprio, then still Hollywood's golden boy, and she often remarked on his astonishing professionalism and discipline at such a young age. In television, during her time on American Horror Story, she developed a lasting friendship with Jessica Lange. Kathy has openly called Jessica one of the actresses she admires most, both on screen and off, praising her subtlety, intensity, and unrelenting passion for the craft. Beyond these cherished professional friendships, Kathy Bates also experienced a profound romance off-screen with actor and musician Tony Campisi. They first met in the late 1970s when both were struggling artists in New York. Bound by the same world of endless auditions, failed contracts, and forgettable supporting roles, Kathy and Tony found in each other a rare understanding that few outside the industry could provide. Their relationship lasted for years before evolving into marriage. After Kathy's Oscar win for Misery in 1991, she and Tony tied the knot. It seemed like the perfect moment. A woman at the pinnacle of her career with the man who had stood by her side through years of hardship. They frequently appeared together at events, with Tony quietly supporting her from the background while Kathy poured her energy into new projects. But their marriage, which lasted 7 years, did not bring lasting happiness. With no children, both devoted most of their time to work, and this focus eventually created distance. Kathy had become one of Hollywood's busiest actresses, juggling films, stage productions, and television. Tony, though also an artist, never achieved the same level of recognition. The disparity in their careers and Kathy's relentless schedule gradually drove them apart. Behind the spotlight, tensions quietly grew. Kathy later admitted that her work consumed so much of her time and energy that her marriage lost its balance. Tony, in turn, felt overshadowed, reduced to the faint silhouette of a man standing beside an overly famous wife. The disagreements accumulated over the years, and in 1997 the couple divorced. The split was quiet, without scandal. Yet it left Kathy deeply wounded. After that failed marriage, she chose to keep her private life guarded, rarely speaking of love or new relationships. For Kathy, her time with Tony Campisi remained a profound chapter, a love story that began with mutual understanding but ended in silence, leaving behind a void she filled with her craft and devotion to the art of acting. After her marriage ended, Kathy Bates immersed herself almost entirely in work. Art became her emotional anchor, helping her fill the private voids in her life. Yet fate once again tested her resilience. In 2003, Kathy was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, a thunderbolt that left her stunned. At 55, with her career on steady ground and just as she was regaining her rhythm after divorce, the illness appeared as if to strip everything away. Kathy recalled that the moment her doctor delivered the news was one of the heaviest in her life, a mix of confusion, anger, and fear. But instead of collapsing, Kathy chose to confront the disease head-on. She underwent surgery and grueling chemotherapy, enduring exhaustion, hair loss, and a body pushed to its limits. Through it all, she held to one principle: never allow illness to define her. Between treatments, she still read scripts and searched for new roles, reminding herself that there were still reasons to keep fighting. The painful treatment eventually bore fruit. Kathy overcame ovarian cancer and slowly recovered. The experience transformed her perspective. From someone once absorbed only in work, she began to cherish health, relationships, and the fragility of life itself. She later admitted that the battle in 2003 made her realize she was both stronger than she had ever believed, and more vulnerable than she had ever imagined. After surviving ovarian cancer, Kathy seemed ready to continue her life and career in peace. But less than a decade later, fate struck again. In 2012, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. The devastating news came at age 64, once again dragging her into a spiral of fear and uncertainty. Doctors recommended the most radical course, a double mastectomy. For many women, it is an agonizing choice, not just medically, but emotionally, tied to body image and femininity. Kathy accepted it, knowing her life was more important than anything else. The surgery saved her, but it left lasting consequences. Following the procedure, Kathy developed lymphedema, a common complication when the lymphatic system is damaged. Her arm would swell painfully, feeling tight and heavy to the point of limited mobility. Kathy once described it as carrying around a wet blanket on your arm all day. Yet instead of hiding, she chose to speak openly. Kathy became a powerful voice for women facing the same battle, candidly addressing both the physical pain and the psychological toll, urging the medical community to give more attention to this overlooked condition. She was no longer fighting just for herself. She transformed her ordeal into a mission to protect and uplift others who suffered silently. After her mastectomy and years of living with lymphedema, Kathy Bates realized this was not only a personal fight. Every stab of pain, every day her arm swelled so badly she could barely move, reminded her of the millions enduring the same struggle in silence. Refusing to conceal her reality, she shared her story publicly, turning her pain into a communal cause. Since 2014, Kathy has served as the national spokesperson for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, LENRN. In this role, she has traveled widely to speak, appear in campaigns, and raise funds for research. She doesn't embellish her courage. She tells it plainly. The days spent bedridden, the helplessness of no longer fitting into a favorite blouse, the fear of living forever with discomfort. That honesty struck a chord with audiences, helping them understand that lymphedema is not only a physical burden, but also a profound emotional weight. Thanks to Kathy, a once overlooked condition finally gained a strong voice in society. Alongside advocacy, she embarked on a remarkable transformation of her own body. Between 2013 and 2019, Kathy lost more than 100 pounds, over 45 kilograms, an extraordinary feat in her 60s. Remarkably, she did it without surgery or extreme Hollywood diets. Instead, she began with small, steady changes, exercising daily, walking to improve circulation, eating a balanced diet, and most importantly, learning to listen to her body, something she admitted she had never done before. In one interview, Kathy shared emotionally, "I had to start from scratch. I had to learn when I was full, to stop eating when my body had enough, instead of eating to fill boredom or loneliness." For her, every meal became not just a momentary indulgence, but an act of self-love and respect. For Kathy Bates, this journey was never just about weight loss or regaining her figure. It was about reconciliation with herself, learning to love her body even when scarred by surgery and illness. Years of battling disease taught her to honor even the smallest signals from her body and to turn adversity into a chance for a complete shift in how she lived. From once believing illness was the end, Kathy was reborn stronger than ever, becoming a living testament to willpower, resilience, and the ability to rise above hardship in ways few could ever imagine. After years of battling illness and private struggles, Kathy Bates has stepped into recent years with an entirely new image, proud, seasoned, and still relentlessly dedicated. Well into her 70s, instead of retreating, she chose to return to television in the lead role of Matlock, a CBS reboot of the classic legal drama. She portrays Madeline "Mattie" Matlock, a sharp, intelligent lawyer with great emotional depth. The series premiered in late 2024, immediately capturing attention and quickly earning a renewal for a second season. By 2025, Kathy made history as the oldest actress ever nominated for an Emmy in the lead actress category for this role, a milestone that commanded Hollywood's respect. Her work has not been confined to television. 2024 was also a shining year for Kathy as she appeared in 3 notable film projects. In HBO's The Great Lillian Hall, she starred alongside Jessica Lange as Edith Wilson, helping create a richly artistic production. That same year, she appeared in A Family Affair, a romantic comedy on Netflix, bringing audiences a warmer, more playful side of Kathy. And in Summer Camp, she shared the screen with Diane Keaton and Alfre Woodard in a humorous, heartwarming tale of late-life friendship, proving she could still deliver both laughter and freshness. Alongside her artistic endeavors, Kathy has remained committed to advocacy. Having survived cancer twice and living with lymphedema, she became the national spokesperson for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, LNRN. In 2025, she continued to front campaigns during World Lymphedema Day, candidly sharing her personal experiences to raise awareness of a condition so often overlooked. She revealed that losing over 100 pounds and reshaping her lifestyle not only restored her health, but also gave her a new source of energy to continue her work. Off-screen, Kathy has drawn attention in her personal appearances as well. On red carpets, particularly at the 2024 and 2025 Emmys, she dazzled in form-fitting Armani gowns, proudly showcasing the results of her weight loss journey. One story highlighted the moment she broke down in tears during a dress fitting, realizing she had truly been reborn, not just in body, but in spirit. In 2025, she even admitted her gratitude that doctors had limited the use of painkillers during her cancer treatment. A small yet deeply human insight into survival and resilience. Across more than half a century in the arts, Kathy Bates has built a legacy far greater than Oscar statuettes and prestigious awards. She is not only an actress with an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and 2 Emmys among dozens of nominations, but also living proof that true artistry is measured in talent and emotional depth, not by Hollywood's superficial beauty standards. Her role as Annie Wilkes in Misery turned Kathy into the embodiment of total transformation, a character both deranged and human, haunting audiences across generations. Yet her legacy did not end there. Kathy demonstrated staying power and versatility through countless other roles. Molly Brown in Titanic, a beloved historical figure brought vividly to life. Libby Holden in Primary Colors, Evelyn Couch in Fried Green Tomatoes, characters that blended humor with humanity. And in American Horror Story, she reinvented herself for a younger audience, inhabiting grotesque, ruthless yet layered roles like Delphine LaLaurie, ultimately winning another Emmy at a masterful stage of her career. Kathy Bates's influence goes far beyond the screen. She reshaped how audiences view women in film, proving that actresses do not need to be young, thin, or conventionally beautiful to shine. She opened the door for countless women to step outside the narrow confines of appearance and embrace complex roles, earning their place through sheer talent. Her persistence and conviction forced Hollywood, at least in part, to re-examine its rigid standards. At the same time, Kathy inspired through her personal survival. Twice defeating cancer, living with lymphedema, and losing more than 100 pounds to reclaim her health, she became a symbol of resilience. As the face of LNRN, she turned private suffering into a public mission, giving voice to a neglected condition and helping thousands of patients feel less alone. In her 70s, still working tirelessly on set and gracing red carpets, Kathy Bates has proven that an artist's legacy lies not in the number of starring roles or box office figures, but in honesty with oneself and the courage to face every adversity. She stands as a model of endurance, a source of strength for anyone who believes that both art and life can always be reborn, no matter the years or the hardships. Kathy Bates is not only a gifted actress, but also the image of a woman who never stops moving forward, despite scars both seen and unseen. She refuses to let age, illness, or prejudice serve as excuses to stop. Instead, she turns every limitation into fuel to live stronger, work harder, and leave behind an irreplaceable mark. Her story is not a distant myth. It is proof that even when the world does not bet on you, you can still write your own journey with resilience and pride. So what about you? What part of Kathy Bates's life moves you most or resonates most deeply with your own experience? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you too value stories of such resilience, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so we can continue exploring the powerful journeys of stars who have truly made history.